course not. I don't agree with every single word anyone says, even this girl. Like, I don't, and you don't either. So.
And it just felt like it was all for nothing.
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't. It was an absolute stepping stone in my life.
No, God, I know that this is, you're with me and you love me and it's going to be okay, even if.
And I think sometimes we think that God is here and we're just trying to get to him, you know, but like God is moving with us.
You probably don't remember this, but I said that I was going on a clothing buying ban. Well, like, you can take the news at face value and you don't have to read deeper and everything. You don't have to even read about the conspiracy theories. Well, my mic's working.
Yeah, yours. It jumps in on the words conspiracy theories. Wow, everybody's perked up and ready to hear.
Oh, man. Coming in hot. Okay,
Interesting intro.
Now I'm rich
Okay,
around.
now you're rich around.
Yeah.
Rutched around.
Rutched around.
Is that like a common word people know what it means?
I was talking to my cousin this weekend, or actually it was Cindy, so my cousin's wife, and I was trying to say, like, I dread something, and like, it wasn't, but I'm like, no, I don't dread it. I was like, sometimes it relates me, and I was like, I'm trying to think of another word to use beside relates, but like, it's not dread. It's not the same thing. It's like a more like lighthearted version of dread. It's relates, and it was like, that's the word. I'm sorry, I can't think of another word.
Yeah, because dread is too dark.
Yeah, dread is too dark. It's just kind of like, you know, one of those things where like it relates you. I don't know how else to say it.
It's the perfect German word.
It really is,
for sure. But you look cute today anyway. Your
Thanks.
outfit like pops.
Thank you. I was at school today. I mean, it's Tuesday, so where else would I be? But we have this tradition at our school that goes back, I don't know, we did it when I was at school, so many, many years. And it's one random day in the fall, one nice sunny random day. The administrator chooses the day. It's like top secret. The faculty knows like a couple weeks before, but the students are not supposed to have any idea. And it's kind of like this big game between the students and the staff. Like, are they going to figure out when fun day is, or are we going to keep it a secret? And usually they guess like every day in the fall that it's going to be fun day.
Yeah.
Or like it's always on their mind kind of. But then sometimes some of them, especially the younger kids that don't have as much experience, they forget all about it.
So it's like a school holiday.
Yeah. And at like lunchtime, the administrator will announce on the intercom, which we never use the intercom.
So as soon as they hear the buzzing, they
know. But they're like quiet, like, what is this going to be? And he's like, I have an announcement. Today is actually fun day. And then it goes wild. The whole school is like hooping and hollering and jumping up and down and chest bumping each other. It's like the kids go crazy.
And the kindergartners are doing it too, but they have no idea why.
They have no idea why. Yeah, they hear about it from the older siblings. But the younger kids go to a park. First graders and kindergartners play on the playground. Second through fourth does, like, we have stations, we do relays and stuff, and the big kids stay at school and do games. I'm not even sure what they do, but I was with the little kids at the park, and it's just such a fun school tradition. It's a decent amount of work for, you know, us to pull it off and get everything set up, and we have to rent the park and have busing for the kids, but I think the best part is telling them that today is fun day, because everyone just, it's like the hype is just insane.
That's so being an adult is realizing that you can have fun just by watching kids have fun.
Exactly.
And that's fun in itself.
So anyway, today was fun day.
So you had to dress the part and wear your fun
Well, I
outfit.
had to like, I was like, I guess I'll wear sneakers. I wear sneakers often enough that it wasn't suspicious.
Oh,
but
yeah, you have to think through all these things.
And then I told Finley and Jack this morning, I was like, hey, don't forget to take your water bottles today, because they were getting into the habit of it, and I wanted them to have their water bottles today. Yeah. And Finley's like, oh, it's fun day. And I'm like, you don't know anything. I was like, Miss Valerie chooses or Mr. Weaver, Miss Valerie choose that day. Like, you don't know. And then he's like, you lied to me. I was like, I didn't say it wasn't.
He's holding you accountable. Yeah, I don't really have a lot of life updates, except I did my tri-annual Target run. Like, I never go to Target. For years, I haven't really gone to Target very much. It's just not in my routine. But we went today. I get Fletcher's all the boys, Cat and Jack pants, and then they bust out the knees, and I take them back and return them and get new ones. So yeah, $12 for each pair. I exchanged two and bought a third. So, and then of course you can't go to Target without other things jumping into your cart too.
I know. Target will tell you what you need.
We're going to upstate New York this weekend, Lord willing. I'm still cringing. I'm like, I'm sure some child's going to be sick or something, but Lord willing, it's going to be an adult only, me, Jane, and Joelle. That's your sister. Jana's sister, Joelle, and our husbands. We're going to go to upstate New York, and we're going to get a party van. I'll ride in the van together, so I wanted to get some snacks and stuff, and Target has some fun different snacks that I'm not used to. So,
Yeah.
well, Josh is going to Sam's Club tonight while we're filming
Oh.
to get food. And I was like, oh, I'll just get him to get some fun snacks. But you can't. It's like 48 counts
I
of
know.
everything. So that's not
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, today's episode is going to be a little hot and cold. You'll find out towards the end. So stick around the whole way through. It's going to be a ride. There'll be fun parts and a little more serious parts. And that's how we like it.
Yeah. I like it that way. Yeah.
So, homemaking endeavor, what have you been up to lately?
Well, I brought you the fruits of my homemaking endeavor. I baked cookies, and I am just not a baker, but I baked cookies twice since we moved, and I don't know. They were really good both times.
So wait, you're not going to say it, but you think it's the kitchen?
I don't know. I mean, maybe, but
maybe it's the natural light that you can see what you're doing.
Maybe. But I tried a new recipe. They were like maple brown sugar.
Should I go get one?
If you want. I don't know. Miller thought they were good. But then I also browned the butter to add like another depth of flavor, and they had like icing on. They weren't that hard, actually. I mixed them up yesterday and baked them this afternoon. I don't know. If you break it down into steps, I just think it's much more manageable.
Yeah, especially if you have a job too.
Right.
Let's try these. They're appetizing looking.
Yeah, I thought
they
they
have like a
looked
glaze
alright.
on top. You said there's like nuts in here.
There is, yes, nuts. We'll just go with nuts.
Wow. That brown butter makes it.
Yeah,
I'm still waiting to taste the cookie itself.
They're almost overly sweet. I thought about sprinkling some salt on the top, but my kids don't like when I do that. But I think maybe I need to.
Oh, it's so good.
She likes them.
Did you like the recipe?
Yeah, it was an online thing that I just Googled.
I give that 5 stars. Wow, that is so good. It's a little sweet, but like they're small, and I think like people that like black coffee, that would go perfect with it. Like,
do you know what? The recipe said to drizzle the icing, but I waited too long and the icing was cold. So I think if I actually drizzled the icing instead of putting such a large amount of icing on, I think that would help the sweetness too.
It was bomb.
But
so
yeah,
good.
I was pretty proud of them. So that is my homemaking endeavor.
There you go. We will link the recipe below. Fantastic, as Josh says.
Yeah.
I was thinking for Christmas, I want to get him a Joshism shirt because I cricket, like I can cricket stuff. Like when one will say "fantastic" with the task.
Yeah,
like,
he does say that.
He says it all the time, and like my guy, and like what else does he? I was like, I need to just like make a mental list of all the things he says all the time.
Yeah, keep track.
Anyway, my homemaking endeavor. I've been working on making a command station for our kids, like school papers, calendars, stuff like that. I don't really want it. My kitchen's like so pretty. I don't really want to kit it up too much. And also, if I have like personal information out, then I have to worry about filming around it and not having that show. So I think I'm going to get a pushpin board and put it on the back of the door going down to the basement. So we can open it up. It's right there in the kitchen because when you open the door's in the kitchen. Yeah. But it'll be kind of hidden away. And I think we'll do a pushpin board instead of a magnet board because it'll be more lightweight. And Monty voted for that because she wants to do the push pins. So my mom always had one of those growing up. Yeah. And you do that with your photos, right? You do the push pins. So
yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows? If I like it, maybe we'll make a pretty frame for it or something. But yeah.
Good idea. It is nice to have a central place, especially you have like, how many kids do you have in school now?
2.
Just 2.
But yeah, eventually.
I mean, you'll have more coming. So it's when you have multiple kids in school, things just get complicated.
Yeah, they keep their cool school stuff in that old wooden hutch. But then, like, yeah, where do I go with the papers that need displayed and stuff?
Right.
A big thank you to Voetberg for sponsoring today's episode. The Voetberg method approaches music differently.
With by-ear training and song-based learning, your children will be begging to play their instrument more.
Students are self-motivated by earning badges mailed to their doorstep, participating in the monthly online student showcase, and seeing dozens of other students play with their siblings and friends in the Voetberg Music Academy community.
At Voetberg Music Academy, you aren't on your own. Each student has 24/7 access to their instructor and receives personalized feedback on live coaching calls, which allows students to learn faster and easier.
Use our code Homemaker20 and for less than $30, join thousands of other Christian families learning to play together with the leader of online music lessons, VoetbergMusicAcademy.com.
With new intermediate and advanced piano, ukulele, fiddle, and guitar courses, Voetberg Music Academy is your one-stop shop. From your family first unboxing your instruments to playing for worship, writing music, or playing in a family band.
The Voetberg family loves playing music together, and they want to help you bring the gift of music into your home in an affordable, efficient, and family-centered way. This month, use our code Homemaker20 to get 20% off each month you're subscribed.
Get 20% off the proprietary Voetberg method experience where siblings can share lessons and learn music in a way they'll never forget, even when lessons stop.
So this is the second to last episode in our season. And so we filmed 2 episodes at a time, as we've been over before. And I put a question box on our Honey I'm Homemaker Instagram page, which if you're not following over there, please do. That's where you guys can put input for questions. And so next week, we'll give you guys that episode, all of our Q&A answers and stuff. But one question that was on there, I thought almost deserved its own little segment. So we're going to answer that question here, and then we're going to go into a fun little Instagram homemaking trend, TikTok trend that we saw that we thought would be fun to dive into. So you're going to get some levity and also some more seriousness in today's episode. So someone asked, and I thought it was a great question, and I think it's something we should ask each other more often.
Yeah.
What has the Lord been teaching you, or how has he grown you in your life lately? Which, if you're not a Christian, or maybe you are a Christian, you just don't think about it. But we always talk about how the Bible is the living word of God. And we also have the Holy Spirit in us. And we talk about how God is a river. You know, he's flowing constantly all the time. And I think sometimes we think that God is here and we're just trying to get to him, you know, but like God is moving with us. Mm-hmm. And I think that's just a beautiful... I was reading Psalm 23 again. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. And that part, I just love it. He leads me beside the still waters. He's not up on the mountain looking down, waiting for us to get to him. Like,
yeah, I like that.
It's amazing. So, yeah, it's been hard to know how to talk about, at least for me. There's a lot that's happened in the last month, and a lot in my personal life, a lot in like the current event sphere, and I feel like so many people have addressed the topic of Charlie Kirk, and we don't really talk about current events too much on here. It's just, so what are you going to do? Like, you just pray. You know, you pray for the Middle East. You pray for the families of the school shootings and the Texas water, flooding and everything. And it's just the wildfires in California, and it's just so much, and terrorism and all the things. And so,
if you mention one thing, then someone's like, well, what about that? And
and it feels like if you start to talk about one thing, you almost have to talk about all of it. And that's not what we're here to do. But the Charlie Kirk story, which I'm not even going to recap it because you've got it thrown down your throat so much, I'm sure, already. And obviously this episode is late to the game. We're not going to be like using his name as a clickbait or anything here. But the reason the story begs us to talk about it, especially in light of this question, is because
it impacts our life.
It compels an action. It compels you to live your life differently. Whereas most of those tragedies, I'm at the mercy of whatever the policies are, or whatever the government decides, or, you know, I can go out and cast my vote in November and things like that. But for the most part, it's just, I'm a mom at home, and I pray for my children, and I try to raise them so that they can be lights in this dark world. And that's pretty much what we do. Mm-hmm. And so when someone was gunned down for speaking, and that person happened to also be a professing Christian, that was a little bit of a wake-up call for me, I feel.
Yeah, and our faith needs to change our life. I mean, Charlie Kirk went out there and he preached the gospel, and tragically, it changed his life, and it ended his life. His decision to live out loud and to share his beliefs, whether he was killed for political beliefs or for his Christian beliefs, either way, he shared what he believed, and he lost his life because of it. So probably some of you are going to be commenting, because I shared one little thing on my Instagram, and I got like 2 messages of people clearly not approving of Charlie Kirk, even though I didn't say I approved of him. I just said that it was sad that he died. And okay, I have a very small Instagram account, and 2 people were down my throat. I cannot imagine what these big accounts are facing when they choose to share something that they believe in. Now, do I agree with every single word he ever said? No, of course not. I don't agree with every single word anyone says, even this girl. Like, I don't, and you don't either. So why are you expecting, just because someone mentions someone's name? Like, no, okay? I don't agree with everything he said, but he preached the gospel, and I agree with that. So if you have a problem with me calling him my brother in Christ, then I guess take it up with God.
Yeah, we're not here to defend him or his beliefs, or
Yeah.
I don't even know all of his beliefs. I did watch a lot of his videos back in March. I found him on, I think his wife and him were doing a podcast, and I just loved how, even taking away the content, I just loved how he knew what he thought, and he had researched it, and he had verses to back it up, and he was a quick orator, and just like, I'm like, wow, okay, so maybe that's how Peter was in the Bible a little bit. I mean, the message was obviously a little different, but it just inspired me to sometimes you almost feel apologetic. Like, yeah, Christianity, I know it's a little old fashioned, but believe in God. And like, no, Christianity makes sense. The reason we have most of the problems we have is because we're not following God's guidebook. So we have to rewrite the rules, rewrite the script, figure out how to, cure STDs. And sorry if we're getting so, it's not graphic, I don't know. But, and the reason we have to figure out what to do with
abortion.
Yeah, all the things, which we're not going to get into all these topics, but there's so many problems we have to circumnavigate around because we're not following God's blueprint. That is an amazing practical way to live life, not just because God said so, because the natural laws and order make sense to do that,
And again, like, as hard as it is, like, it should not be hard for us to stand behind this mic and to share our faith and to share what we believe in. And I'm a little nervous, sometimes I get a little nervous to say things that I know that people are gonna find fault with or contradict, but to actually go out there and interact with people like Charlie did and like many other people do, and face to face with people that hate you and that violently disagree with you, and to stand there and talk to them and share your faith and share what you believe, like, that's what is really about.
Yeah. I think sometime we should do a topic about like a beginner's guide for going back to church, because I feel like a lot of people are now inspired to see what this is all about, because a lot of things don't seem like you would expect, because Christianity doesn't make sense in this natural world in some ways. We're not, and that's what it comes down to. I think it really established a core doctrine of our Anabaptist faith, which is the verse that God says his kingdom is not of this world. And our Anabaptist founders of the Mennonites and the Amish and like all the different Anabaptist groups, Quakers, that was one of their founding principles that looked very different from everybody around them. They were trying to stay separate from the world and be in God's kingdom first. Now, I disagree with some of the Mennonites that think we need to just bury our head in the sand and just we're not even part of the world whatsoever. I think there's nothing wrong with trying to better our community. I don't think it's wasted effort or misguided effort to be involved with the community, especially if there's like something, what's wrong with cleaning up the roads? I think it's totally admirable to be part of the community, whether that's, even voting. If you look in the Bible in Acts, Paul had no problem with appealing to his Roman citizenship to be able to get in front of Caesar. And he also wasn't working for the political agenda of the time. He was working for God's kingdom. So I think two things can be true at once.
Amen.
And I think where we differ is maybe how much you should weigh. Like some people think you should only pray for the government and that's it. Some people think you shouldn't even, I've heard of some groups in the past, very conservative Mennonite groups that didn't even want to pay taxes at one point because that was giving money to a pagan institution.
Right, well, no one wants to pay taxes, but it clearly says in the Bible that you have to.
Yeah.
So
there's even Mennonites that are Social Security exempt because that's where they draw the line. They don't want to be a part of the world system.
Yep.
I'm not here to tell you where you need to draw that line necessarily, but I was just inspired through the life and death of Charlie Kirk to be emboldened to say how Jesus has changed my life and how he can change others' lives, and to just inspire my children to be that way too growing up, because who knows what world they'll face, and Jesus is the answer, and we should want to tell others about it because it is everything.
Yeah, and I was also reminded of this when I was teaching second grade history class and they were learning about Menno Simons. And if you think Menno sounds familiar, it's because Menno Simons was one of the key leaders in starting the Mennonites or the Anabaptist movement, particularly the Mennonites, because there are different groups of Anabaptists, but he was where we get our name from. But there's a quote by him that I read to the second graders and I was just like, wow. This is a simplified version of the quote. There's a lot more to it, but this is the important part. True evangelical faith cannot lie sleeping, for it clothes the naked, it comforts the sorrowful, it gives to the hungry food, and it shelters the destitute. And there's actually a song with that quote that instantly came to my mind. Maybe we can link it because it's a beautiful hymn, and it's using this quote by Menno Simons. Menno Simons was a priest in the Catholic Church, and he lived a frivolous, selfish life. I mean, he was working in the church preaching, I guess, or whatever a priest did back in those days, but he didn't read the Bible, he didn't study. He would make confessions every time he did something wrong, as the Catholic Church taught him to do.
So like 20 years after like Martin Luther did his 95 Theses and stuff.
Yeah.
We're dealing with the Mennonites emerging.
Yeah. So anyway, he's working in the church and kind of just doing whatever he wants to do, whatever feels good. But he's not happy. Like, he's searching, and he starts reading his Bible. And after he starts reading his Bible, he realizes, wait a second, something's wrong here. Like, I'm not living how I'm supposed to be living. And he knew that if he left the church and started preaching what he believed about what the Bible says, then he would lose his job, which was very profitable for him. He would lose his home. He would potentially lose his life. And he decided to do what he felt called to do and preach the gospel about what he was seeing in the Bible and how it should change your life, and how it should not, if you have true faith, it shouldn't lie sleeping, as he said. It should prompt you into action.
Keep in mind, this was when Bibles were very hard to come by.
Yes.
Most people couldn't even read. They weren't educated enough to read. And he was able to read because he was a monk in the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
And he's reading the Bible, and he's like, wait a second, this does not line up at all.
Yeah.
And, like, you would want to tell people that have no chance to even read that.
Yeah.
Like, hey, by the way, I went to, like, some far-off country. Like, basically, that's what he did. He went and read the Bible, like,
right.
Earth-shattering.
So I was talking to the second graders, and I was like, so does that seem weird to you that he's working in the church and not reading the Bible? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, it is. Anyway, so he did that. He did just that, and he risked his life, and he, told everyone that, I don't know how he went about exactly preaching, if he gathered crowds to him. I don't think it was it was more small settings, like in barns and undercover and stuff. But he lived in fear of losing his life. And he didn't. He lived, I think, to be pretty old, and he died of natural causes. So even though he was willing to lose his life, God had other plans for him, and he did not.
There's another Mennonite, Anabaptist or Mennonite, Dirk Willems. He is painted, there's a picture, a very famous painting of right around the same time he was preaching the gospel. Do you want to tell the story?
Yeah, okay.
The picture is on the wall at our school, and it's just a picture of a man sinking into the ice, and he's drowning. And there's another man extending out his hand to help him and pull him out. Like, every Mennonite has seen this picture.
Yeah.
He's pulling him out of the ice, and this is the backstory to that.
So Dirk Willems was imprisoned because he was preaching the gospel, or the Anabaptist way of life, preaching about that and how Jesus saves your sins and how it should cause you to repent and turn from your evil sins, and also how you should be baptized upon confession of your faith, opposed to being baptized as an infant. That was one of the major ways they differed from their church at the time. And he was in prison for this, and due to being imprisoned, he was very frail and thin. And he escaped from prison and was fleeing and ran across a frozen lake or river, I'm not even sure what it was, body of water. And he was able to make it across the ice because he was so thin and weighed little, but his captor was running after him and was not so deprived of food, and just crashed through the ice and called out for help. Help me, save me. And Dirk Willems immediately turned around and pulled him out of the ice. And he was recaptured, taken back into prison, and then I think shortly after that, burned at the stake. So I guess no good deed goes unpunished. But it's just a story about how, again, we see his faith did not lie sleeping. He lived out what he said he believed. He didn't just say he believed it, he showed that he believed it. So Dirk Willems is one of our stories that we're just, I don't know, it means a lot to us and to our faith.
Yeah, the Catholics have their saints and stuff.
Yeah.
And these are two of our, I was going to say, like, forefathers, but I mean, I don't know if I actually have their blood in my system.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of the founders of the Anabaptist movement.
Yeah,
So
one of our heroes of faith.
Which is now 500 years old.
Yes, congratulations.
Anyway, so yeah, God's definitely been speaking in both of our lives on that topic. Something more personal for me specifically is, and this kind of ties into Mennonites too, and specifically how we elect our leaders. I think we touched on this before, but we would use the lot, which in Acts 1, I think it's 26, you can see they needed someone to replace Judas Iscariot, who, if you remember right, committed suicide after betraying Jesus. And so there was only 11 apostles, and they wanted to replace him with someone else. And so in Acts 1:22, I'll start there. Must one be ordained to be a witness with us of his resurrection? And they appointed two, Joseph called Barsabbas, who is surnamed Justus, and Matthias. And they prayed and said, Thou, Lord, which knowest the hearts of all men, show which of these two you have chosen, that they may take part of this ministry and apostleship, for which Judas by transgression fell. which Judas died, that he might go to his own place. And they gave forth their lots, and the lot fell upon Matthias, and he was numbered with the 11 apostles. So that's how the Mennonites traditionally choose their leaders. We'll pray, we'll fast. If you feel like God's laying a name of a man from your own congregation on your heart, you will give that to the leaders of the church on a certain Sunday, and then they will compile all the names together. Most Mennonite churches do it if you have a certain amount of votes, like 3 or 5, something like that. Some churches do only if your name is even mentioned at all, they consider you as a candidate. Our church does like anybody who has the majority number. Like if there's obviously somebody who's way more than everybody else, then those are the people you would go with. But they take the men that are eligible, they examine them, talk to them, see if they are fully aligned, somewhat educated. I mean, obviously, if you're leading a church, you need to be
biblically knowledgeable.
Yeah, and like a pillar, in the church already. And obviously you are if people are putting your name in. But our church had an ordination, and we were going to use the lot again, possibly. And so the list of eligible men was not crazy long because you had to be a member for at least 2 or 3 years, I forget. And like some of the men were not eligible because of age, either too young or too old or whatever. And so the list of men's names was not crazy long, and Josh's name was on the list. Yeah. And so it's one thing to go to a church and teach Sunday school, and, Josh is a trustee. He is like the building committee. He is the building committee pretty much, and he's the song leader. That's one thing to be part of that. It's a whole nother thing to be shepherding a flock, being a preacher at a church. So we had to decide what we're going to do, because you can pull your name out of the running, but you should have a good reason for it, And so it really was a time. Josh, his dad was a preacher and is a preacher to this day, so he kind of knows what's involved. But it was just a time for us to we weren't on the same page at first. I was like, no way, we can't do that. Please take your name out. And he's like, well, what if God wants to use us that way? Neither of us really thought it was going to happen, but leaving your name on the list gives it a chance for it to be that way. And so we wrestled and worked through this, especially me, I would say. And I'm like, obviously, I'm not a preacher's wife. I'm not expecting this. But still, to leave your name on the list is an act of faith and whatever. So I finally got through a series of events. God really worked in my life over a week and a half and basically changed my view on what a preacher is even. I think I'd been putting preachers too much on a pedestal in my life in the past, and just some other things that I don't really want to get into here. The point is what God was doing in my heart, which was I finally worked so hard to, what, God, however you want to use me, here's, open my hands, I'll do whatever you want me to do. And I was almost like, if he needs me to do the big things, I can do it. He'll be there for me. He was with me through really hard times and whatever. And you almost amp yourself up. Anyway, then we had our taking names thing where everybody puts their names in, and we were not in the running, which is what we thought all along. But it was such a weird feeling because you work so hard to be at a place where God, I'm willing for you to use me if you want, and then he's like, nah, I don't need you. And it made me think we're so willing sometimes to do the big things for God. It was a big event, wrestling, and I don't want to do this, but whatever, God, I want to give my life as a sacrifice to you and all this stuff. And then he didn't want us, which is what we expected all along. We weren't shocked or anything, but still. And then it's wait, there's so many little things that God has called me to do. Am I willing to do those things just as strategically or intentionally as the big things? And it's just, I also had to wrestle through a little resentment of why, God, you made me go through all this turmoil, and I was wasting not wasting, but I was spending a lot of mental energy on this, and looking up Bible verses and listening to sermons and whatever. And it just felt like it was all for nothing.
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't. It was an absolute stepping stone in my life. Yeah. And it was really good. And it brought Josh and me closer together. I have a whole different worldview in some ways now. And I would love to go into it more, but I don't want this video to get too long. And you said you kind of felt similarly at one point.
I identify with the emotion of definitely this is old history for me, but after I had Finley, I was like, man, I just don't really see myself ever wanting to have more children. I know I always thought I would want to have more, but I don't know, 2 just seems good. And I had been on birth control, hormonal birth control at the time. Definitely changed my mind about that too. But anyway, that's what I was on that. And I just felt like I was happy with 2 children. I didn't really want a third, but I kind of kind of felt like maybe I wasn't supposed to be on the pill, and like maybe I should be more open with having another child. And I prayed that God would give me the desire to have another child. Eventually I did, and I took what I felt was a step of faith, and I went off the pill and, you know, used no protection. And I came to a point where like I very much did want another child, but I think it was kind of after I got pregnant, and then we lost that baby. And I was like, wow, okay, that was hard. But, you know, now God gave me this desire, and I feel like this is what I'm supposed to do. So, well, let's try again. So we tried again and lost that baby too. I'm like, okay, well, third time, you know, there has to be a rainbow after this. Like, I just feel like this is what I'm supposed to do. I didn't really want to try again, I guess. But I was like, I just feel like this is what we're supposed to do. Like, it's going to be like this time. Like, I was fully confident, like this time it would happen. And got pregnant, saw the heartbeat, everything looked good. I don't even know if it was a week later. But yeah, lost that baby too. Now I'm like, I don't really have a desire for another child. I don't really feel called in that direction anymore at all. I feel very fulfilled in what I'm doing at school, and I feel like that is my calling, at least for the moment. Who knows what God will lead and what we'll decide in the future, or what could happen, but that's where we are now. But I really identify with that feeling of surrender and being like, you know, I think I heard from, and it's exciting to feel like you heard from God, or like he was telling you something and you followed him, and then he was like, JK. It's like, wait, what? Yeah. I know. It was definitely like something I had to work through. I was like, why did you? And even like with some of the pregnancies, I had like things that I felt were like little special nods from God, like this was gonna be okay. And I told myself even then that God was telling me that it's gonna be okay even if. But deep down I thought, yeah, you know, like my friend gave me a rainbow cup without even knowing I was pregnant. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I see you. And I said, no, God, I know that you're with me and you love me and it's going to be okay even if. And that is what I believe I was supposed to get out of it. I mean, I still think it was a sign. It was a little hug from God, if you will. But it is really hard when you feel like you've surrendered, and then it's like, oh, I guess that wasn't necessary after all. But it was. And like, I learned a lot from that experience. And yeah, I think I talked about it before too, how I think maybe the purpose in that was being able to, in some small, teeny tiny way, be able to be near to people in my life that I'm very close to that have had even harder stories of grief, and in a small way I can understand. But anyway,
there's still beauty in the pain. And
yes.
We're not the first girls or people to feel that emotion. You know, you look at Abraham, who was willing to sacrifice his son Isaac on the altar. He went through, I can only imagine, like way more turmoil, marching up the mountain with his son. And then God said, just kidding. Yeah. Here's a ram, sacrifice the ram. And I'm sure he only felt flooded with, I knew who you were, God. Like, I knew you weren't. Yeah. Anyway, so it's a journey. It really Whenever is. You really feel like you're really maturing and, you know, you're so far from where you were when you were 20. Okay, jump scare. We're swiveling, going on to the next thing. Something I wanted to do this month while we still had the chance and while it's still going around on Instagram is the Unfortunately I trend, because I thought this is really fun. I really consider this podcast a companion to all the homemakers out there that are just looking for something to listen to while they're doing their laundry, cooking, cleaning, menial tasks and stuff. A coworker, if you will, type of thing. And so I didn't want to leave you guys hanging. I know it was a little more serious and spiritual at the beginning, but now we're swinging into a little bit more of homemaking type of content. And so Jana and I both compiled a list of Unfortunately and maybe we'll have to do an Instagram reel of this too. Yeah. And put hearts beside the stuff so see or have people guess who's who. Yeah. But yeah, it's basically sharing maybe little vices that you have or things that you like, but then there's a downside to liking that. Like, I really wish I could change my preferences here, type of thing. So we'll just jump into it. And I would invite you all, as we play this, to down in the comments, leave us an Unfortunately I statement. I'd love to hear.
Okay. I like it. Or am I going?
Yeah, you can start.
Unfortunately, I really love when a big fat HelloFresh box shows up on my porch, and that's unfortunate because they can be expensive. However, use my link. You can get a free box, and then I can get some credit so that I can keep funding my obsession. And I can tell you why I like HelloFresh, but I'm not sure that they're sponsoring us. Actually, I'm quite sure they're not, so I probably shouldn't give away all that for free.
Yeah.
HelloFresh, call me.
Love it. Yeah, it's like arts and crafts for adults, kind of.
It's so fun. Here I go. But my favorite part about it is it takes off the mental energy of having to think about what to make for dinner, but I still get the fun part of cooking, and especially things that I've never tried before. So it's so fun.
I think I have a Green Chef link. I'll put mine down below too.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
It was your mention. Unfortunately, I love a closed concept house. I don't know. I just like having my little life compartmentalized into different rooms. And I know that's not necessarily trendy, although I think people are going a little bit away from the open concept. But I like a closed concept house, for better or for worse.
Yeah, I kind of like open concept, but some open concept, I like living and dining and kitchen to be open, but you need some closed off spaces.
Yeah, I don't want my toy room in my kitchen.
No.
I say as I have a little toy chest drawer in my kitchen for my little baby.
You can really make anything work, though.
Yes, absolutely.
Unfortunately, I love making that second cup of coffee in the afternoon, and it's unfortunate because then sometimes I can't sleep.
Oh, the worst.
But sometimes it's worth it.
You know, Mama Java has really good decaf beans.
Okay, my problem with decaf is I have an espresso maker where you put the beans in the hopper, and I can't
switch back and
switch
forth.
it out. I mean, there is a spot for grounds, but I never figured out how to use it, and I don't really want to buy grounds, and I don't know.
Yeah, I get it. Unfortunately, I do love an Irish goodbye. I like to just slip out the door and be gone.
I'm with you there.
I'm not a huge small talk girl. And unfortunately, I'm married to a husband who does. Have you ever heard of the Midwest goodbye? I had not heard of this before until I Googled, what's the opposite of an Irish goodbye? Turns out there's a Midwest goodbye, and that's what Josh does. The one where you're standing at the door, half an hour later, the bugs are just swarming inside. Like, just wrap it up, Josh. Wrap it up. He does it at church. Anyway, I don't think it annoys other people as much as it annoys me. So, yeah. I mean, what's more rude? The Midwest goodbye or the Irish goodbye? Arguably, they're both equally bad.
I don't know. I definitely prefer to be like, well, gotta go, and just like get out of there.
That's hardly an Irish goodbye, though, is it?
I mean, sometimes I do. Like, if you're talking to someone, then you have to end it in some way. Or like, the best thing is if someone else comes up to them and starts talking to them, and you're just like, "Yoop."
Yeah. Or like if we're camping or something, it's like, oh, where'd Josh and Meg? They're gone.
They're gone. Yep, I like it. Unfortunately, I really like buying clothes from Amazon. This vest was from Amazon, and you probably don't remember this, but I said that I was going on a clothing buying ban. Well, I have a bit of a confession, but Eric has bought so much clothing, and he's like, it's for work, but then there was golf pants, so I was like, that's not for work, and this is for work.
Literally, you went to work twice. You had 2 jobs today.
2 jobs.
Teacher, podcaster.
Exactly, and like I needed some fresh clothes to wear on the podcast. So
you better link it so it is a work expense.
Yes, please buy it. Anyway, so I did also have gift card money. I don't know. Maybe it was from a return. Maybe it was from affiliate links. I don't know what it was from, but who's asking? So,
basically, it was free.
Basically, it was. So anyway, there's my little confession for you.
Unfortunately, I do love an hour-long walk. Now, I've always heard about all these like girls that are going on their hour-long hot girl walks. And I'm like, roll my eyes in the back of my head. Like, what mom has time for that? But 2 times in the last 2 weeks, I have made it possible to go on a 45-minute to an hour-long walk, and life-changing. It's like enough time to settle in, and like you can think about something or listen to a podcast the whole way through or whatever. I actually walked to my friend's house, who's like 2 miles away. She invited us over for supper the one night, and I walked there, and Josh was going to pick me up if I didn't get there in time, on his way. But I got there in time, and it was so nice. It just like calms down your nervous system or something. I'm used to just a quick run or a quick walk, and something about an hour-long walk. So I kind of have a goal to put it in my schedule to do it once a week, at least for now. In the winter, an hour might be a little much. But yeah, it's unfortunate because it's a block of time that I don't have, but I think I want to make time for it.
Yeah, I don't know that I guess when I go on trips with Eric and stuff and I just walk a lot, would go for an hour, but that's kind of a long time. Unfortunately, I really love buying myself lunch every Wednesday when I have off, and I cannot tell you like how fun it is. I like plan my errands around what I'm craving, or like it's just such a delight to pick a restaurant. Or I get takeout. It's like nothing fancy, but Jersey Mike's, or what did I get the other day? Chinese, or
You gotta try kava. Put
yeah.
that on your list.
Chipotle is one I do sometimes. But like I can get what I want. I don't have to make sure they also have chicken tenders or cheeseburgers on the menu, and I don't really have, and I can put mushrooms in whatever I want. And I don't know, it's just so fun to like pick something solely based on what I want. It's like my little selfish
I love it. It's like a little date with yourself every Wednesday.
Yeah. Because I always have errands to run, so it's not like I'm leaving the house specifically for that, but Wednesday is my day to do Amazon returns or go get groceries or like whatever I have to do.
I have like 7 more, and you said you're done, so I'm just gonna do like
go for
no
it.
explanation. I'm just gonna say
do it.
Unfortunately, I like a fixer-upper.
Ugh.
Unfortunately, I love iced coffee in the dead of winter. Unfortunately, I love sleeping in. Unfortunately, I love being busy. Unfortunately, I love ketchup on my mac and cheese.
Gross.
I get made fun
It's
of all the time.
abominable.
Unfortunately, I love a project. Unfortunately, I love feeling athletic. It's a problem because I'm a mom and I don't get chances to be athletic.
I wouldn't know the feeling.
I want to join the UFC fight gym. I told Josh that it would be a wonderful self-defense for myself, like boxing. I mean, the Victoria's Secret girls do their boxing. Wouldn't that be so fun to punch bags?
No, it would not.
Like punch.
No.
Oh man. Anyway, it's not gonna happen.
Smash things like smash glass things, but not punch bags. If I have aggression
like
to take out, that's what I would want to do.
I don't know. I think it would be fun. Unfortunately, I love overcommitting. Unfortunately, I love garage sales.
Man, I disagree with like all of these.
Unfortunately, I love a messy bed. I think it just looks so inviting to jump into. Unfortunately, I love my minivan because it's such an eyesore. And last of all, unfortunately, I love grocery shopping with my husband because the bills always double. So obviously, very unfortunate.
It is unfortunate that you enjoy that. I can't say I do. It stresses me out.
Oh man, I noticed a theme when I did this. I'm like, wow, I like plans and overcommitting and being busy, and so yeah.
You do. And I'm just like, no, spare me.
So what do you unfortunately love? We'd love to hear in the comments. Thank you guys so much for being here,
and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.